Does this TV show the same as this one? Maybe? I'm not touching anything.
This is what always happens.
I know Pedro only lives over my brother's house, or Bay. Go get after. I'm glad. See how you do it in the photos. Oh, yeah.
These are mean.
What's that?
Yeah, well, I could buy her. One more time.
What do you think?
I have no idea.
You don't know?
All right, thanks, Noah.
No, no.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's nice picture.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. They gonna put that thing back up again?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Leave it down. Don't need it. When we come- Here. I'll cancel down the that. Leave it down.
Oh, I see. Remember?
Or Alvin or anything like that. Yeah. You guys climb around that, and if the gate's closed, how do you get around?
Some plans back here that are the.
That's where the, is that the way the picture Get it in? I look, up from the back, and right there by the edge of that thing, up on the pier here, you go to here, there's like the bathroom right on top. Not near that gate. Like I said, he was back around over there, way over, yeah, it's gonna be a gate. There's nowhere near it. Next, again, I don't know. Yeah. Where's the whiteness on? I went down there on Sunday to try to go, and there's quite a bit ahead.
Hi. All right. Look at this nice. You know, this is now. No. Two. Little. Oh, I think that. You showed me.
On your lap.
Oh, my God. Well, that. You know, and, so you're. Like I felt. Yeah, I want to be honest. I know. So I went. Oh, how cute. That's cute. Wow. Oh. Oh. My mom bought it. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Oh, I when I
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the town hall. I guess you all didn't get the memo on wearing yellow this event, so. We're thrilled that you're all here and we're going to get started. It's a little after 5:30, so we're going to jump right in and Jessica Kahn is going to begin the presentation and go over exactly what we'll be doing this evening. So thank you.
So thank you so much, you all here for coming this evening. We're really glad to have continued interest in the Wharf and its uses. We're going to give just a little bit of background, just very small bit of background on the Wharf and the current project going on right now. And then Katie is going to jump into the timeline and process of the Wharf and what it looks like with its uses in the future. So if you're not aware, there's a wharf out there in the ocean. The last major reconstruction of it was in the 1980s when the city took over the use of the wharf. Those buildings, the former Boat and Bait and Wharf House restaurant were constructed around the same time. For quite some time, the city has had the Wharf Resiliency and Public Access Project on the books since about 2014, significantly funded by Measure F, a tax measure. And construction on that project began in September 2023 after the storms in January of 2023, which added some additional repairs to the project. A key element of the project is widening it. It's about double the width that it once was. Fixing pilings, deck replacements, some general significant maintenance, and then adding new restroom facilities originally intended for the head and the base of the wharf, so the front and the back. Now that the buildings had to be removed after the December 2023 storms when they suffered some significant damages, we omitted the one at the head of the wharf, so the oceanside restroom, to see what we would do out there in the future and eventually have some other type of facility for that purpose. The scope of the original building project excluded buildings. Like I said, we unfortunately had to demo those earlier this year. So the current status of the wharf, we are about to the end of the wharf with the reconstruction, which is really exciting. On the picture on the left there, you can see that's the head of the wharf where they're taking out the decking and replacing it. And then the other picture is further back looking out towards the ocean. We're about to the end, and then we're going to turn around and go back and do the beginning. So the first 8 sections of wharf were left for last. That's kind of where the restroom is, where the stairs are. And so that will be the final piece of the construction of this current project. So with this project, there are some other enhancements funded both by the city and by a fundraising group called CWEP that recently got its final approval through the Planning Commission. And so the next few slides are things that will be part of this current city project that looks like it'll be done around the summertime. So one major difference will be a new entryway. The old one was relatively aged. Once we took it apart for the project, it was obviously in disrepair. So it's going to be recreating the archway in a similar fashion, and then also doing new columns and a new gate. There was a new restroom facility. Currently, it's that blue building out there on the base of the wharf that will be cladded in some wood paneling. This restroom has 3 stalls, 1 ADA and 2 standard stalls. A water fountain and book cleaning station. New lighting fixtures to the original lighting fixtures were wood and attached to the railing. These will be attached to the decking on the wharf. New viewing stations, there will be 4 of these. 40 new benches, inclusive of the plaques that were in the old benches. All the old bench plaques will be replaced. In addition, all of the plaques that were in the railings will also be replaced, including those that were lost during the damages of the storms earlier in 2023. 4 additional picnic tables will be placed on the wharf, as well as 10 trash receptacles. The entry columns have artwork attached to them. So each column has 3 visible sides. What you see there on the right is a drawing of what will be made of mosaic tiles currently being fabricated in the mall space by Kathleen Crossetti. She is a local artist, and the public is welcome to come and assist with that effort. Another piece of artwork will be mosaic tile panels. This all looks like one piece, but these will all be separate panels showing this full under wharf depiction. Additional artwork will be some bronze sea life pictures. So this will be in the decking, and I have a sketch that shows this a little more to give you a visual of what they'll look like. But there are 40 bronze pieces that will lead to the 4 viewing areas. So this is the overall wharf layout. So the base of the wharf is the landward side, and the head of the wharf the seaward side. Most of what we have programmed for the wharf so far, as far as uses, are at the base of the wharf, where the restrooms are, and where a lot of this artwork and bike racks and other things of that nature will be. And most of what we'll be talking about tonight is programming activities at the head of the wharf, so the seaward side. So this is a very involved picture, but this is the base of the wharf. And so you can see on the left, you have your gate entry, and then you have your restrooms, and then these other elements that were on those last sides. So the benches in orange, the fish, which kind of meander all the way down the wharf, those donor panels, bike racks, lighting on a city dedication panel, which will have the information of both this project and the 1980s project kind of dedication. This is the City of Capitol's Wharf, paid by the citizens and Measure F and HUD and all the other good funders of this project. As you go down the wharf, it is way less programmed. So there are benches, there are lighting, And there are these fish, or sea life depicted as fish on the decking here. As you go down, there are 4 viewing stations. There's one on the top right of this image. It involves a bench, trash can, the viewer, which had 2 viewers, a low and a high, and then also a educational panel, which will likely be completed in the fall as it was funded by NOAA, and that grant money just came through recently. So there's another viewing station. Again, it's pretty sparse here through the mid piece of the wharf. And then as you get down towards the end of the wharf, there's a last viewing station and then 4 picnic tables, those new picnic tables that were depicted in the earlier slides. And so as you can see, there's not very much here programmed at the time. That's part of the reason we're here this evening, is to discuss what could be there short-term and long-term. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Katie.
Okay, I see a lot of familiar faces out there, so thanks so much for being here tonight. One other item that we're currently working on that's not shown on those slides is a lease with Boat and Bait to have them back and operating when we open. So that's where we're discussing that with them now. But so the timeline. So here, in terms of planning and planning permits for future temporary uses, I'm really going to focus on the temporary uses from this point forward. We're going to need coastal development permits. So I'm trying to work through the temporary permits and get feedback from the public in order to move forward with the program so that upon opening, we can have those temporary uses in place or shortly thereafter. So hoping to apply for our temporary coastal permits either late spring or early summer. The wharf opening, we're expecting at some point this summer. We don't have a date set yet. And then it will be open with temporary uses. And you can see I put the ... because I'm not sure how long the temporary uses will be in play. At the same time, once we've got the temporary uses operating, we're putting out an RFP, or request for proposals, to look at long-term uses on the wharf and what is our long-term plan and vision for the wharf. So that will get started this fall, and it should take anywhere from 6 months to a year. We'll also need to get permits through the Coastal Commission. And then looking at permits and funding after that. So depending on how expensive the temporary uses are and how much time we need, that's the green that you see there, and implementation hopefully by winter of 2026. So a lot of when the permanent plan comes into play are estimates. So we put out a survey early April. We received over 1,000 comments from the public. So thank you all for helping us and responding to that survey. I'm going to go through the survey results. I think I have about 12 slides here. So the first question we asked is, which best describes you? And we had 44, almost 45% were Capitola residents, and 38% were within the city of Santa Cruz. Local business owners, about 3%, but where you see other, we got a lot of comments that I'm both a business owner and a resident. So we asked, how often did you visit the wharf when it was open? And the most frequent was once a week or more, so 42%, which is high frequency. Once a month at 35%, and then you can see the percentages go down from there. The third question was, select all activities you previously enjoyed when visiting the wharf. So a lot of people enjoyed the scenery and wildlife, followed by eating and drinking. Walking and exercise is up there too, and entertainment and fishing and boating. So no surprises there, right? Which of the following temporary activities would you support on the wharf? And this was really well-rounded. And I should say, going into this, our Jade Street Community Center, we're expecting it to close this fall temporarily while we do a rehab of the building. That will probably take about a year. So some of the questions that we put in this survey were around that, of if Jade Street Community Center were to close, would you support recreation on the wharf? So we were seeing a lot of support for food and drinks, live entertainment, followed by city recreation classes. And then to not allow any temporary uses out there, we got about 5%. So then also the next question was number of temporary food and beverage vendors the city should allow. We asked none, and then also none that support our existing village businesses, allow one or allow several. So the biggest response was for allow several, but then you can see there was also support for all of the other categories. Frequency, how frequent should we allow the temporary food and beverage services? So the highest response was for every day in the summer. The second highest was every day year round. And then the other responses were 1 day in the summer, followed by 1 day a week year round, 1 day a week in the summer. So with this, something we do have to gauge as a city is that we are not, we don't do special events 24/7. And for us to host ongoing food and beverage services on the wharf would be a large undertaking for City Hall and cost a lot of money for managing that. So something that we're thinking about as we're formulating a path forward with food and beverage, really finding that balance. And then vendor duration, whether should we lease the site or rotate vendors? The response came back of a lot of support for don't have a lease, let's rotate food and beverage vendors. So that was over 50%. The types of temporary food and beverages preferred. Sandwiches are loved by all. And coffee and breakfast was a lot of support, as well as beer and wine, followed by seafood. And then we asked also, what's your preferred type of structure for mobile food? We had in most of these categories, most of the questions, a no preference. This one came up high in the no preference at 30%, but there was a lot of support for food trucks or small concession sheds out on the wharf. And then the next question, should food and beverage have a unified design? There was really no preference on that one at 51% and no at 24%. So yes was 18%. And then which best represents your opinion on temporary live entertainment? A lot of support, 84% would like to have live entertainment come back. And which best represents your preference on frequency of entertainment? 1 day per week year round was the largest support at 33%, followed by 1 day per week in the summer at 32%. And then if this is where we get into the recreation questions about Jade Street and if it closed, which best represents your opinion of recreation classes? And there was about 50% support. So then we also had an open-ended question at the end asking to share other input and ideas. And on this slide, it shows some of those ideas. There were a lot of comments about more educational components on the wharf, like interactive displays, like touching pools, that type of thing, and having partnerships with our local marine biologist centers and aquariums and educational classes, also ideas about having little retail shops out on the wharf. One that came up was dogs on leash. I didn't realize you're not allowed to have a dog on the wharf. I've seen a lot of dogs on the wharf. So, so that came up and we'd like feedback on that tonight as well, to see if people support having a dog on the leash out on the wharf. That's a code change that we'd have to make, one of the rules. And then a couple other ideas that I don't think we could do right away because practicality reasons, but a barge adjacent to the wharf for food and entertainment, a fashion runway, a zip line. And then one idea that we really love, but it would be hard to manage because of all the trash involved is, and the getting things on and off the wharf is temporary markets. So a lot of requests for a farmer's market, fish market, arts and crafts market may not be the ideal location just because of the conditions out on the wharf, but knowing that people are interested in that, we'll continue to look for locations within the city. And another part of the survey during this open-ended question is we got a lot of concerns. So tonight we're going to be looking for input on the new ideas and also the concerns that came up. So some of the concerns we heard is that one that we heard multiple times is the impact on village merchants. If you have a lot of retail and restaurant and beverage out on the wharf. What is the impact to our village merchants? Also, open space on the wharf, asking that the city limit programmable usable space to maintain plenty of open space on the wharf. Also, too many vendors was one, which is a little bit different from open space. It's just like the number of commercial vendors out on the wharf, and to limit that. Noise came up in two respects. One was a request for having quiet hours for fishing and early morning to watch the wildlife and not program things too early in the morning. And then also noise related to entertainment on the wharf and limiting it to daytime hours only, because that is how the Wharf House used to run. I think the hours were 12 to 5 or 1 to 5. And then comments on the structures. We got a few comments about the aesthetics of the design, should really be compatible with the wharf and village. The mobility of the structures, as we're seeing more and more storms, being able to remove the structures from the wharf was one of the, we heard that over and over from the comments. The durability of the structures, making sure a lot of the ideas there were making sure they're really durable and weatherproof and can withstand storms. Another concern, fumes from generators. If we let food trucks out there, people want to experience the clean air. So that balance of possibly not allowing diesel generators. Litter was I think the #1 comment we heard for concerns. So a lot of concerns about the marine sanctuary, litter, and making sure we have adequate trash receptacles and recycling. Noise, again, it's a repeat. And then signs, one comment we got was that when taking pictures out at the wharf, there's a lot of sign clutter out there, and to really limit the number of signs along the wharf so that just you can take in the view and not be over cluttered. So the next thing we're going to do is we've set up the community room with all of the ideas that came in, as well as all of the concerns. And it wouldn't be a fun planning meeting without some stickers. So there will be stickers. And with the ideas that came in, you're going to be limited to 5 blue stickers. And we're going to ask that you only place 1 sticker per idea. So if you only like 3 ideas, just put 3, 1 on each, and save 2, and you can take them home with you if you'd like. So just an example, if your top 5 were those, you'll put the 5 on that, and then you're done with that exercise. And the uses will be when you walk into the community room to your left. And then when you walk into the community room to your right will be the concerns. So with concerns, we're going to give you red and green, and you can take as many as you'd like, but you can only put 1 on each poster. So if you are concerned with all of the items, you could put a red dot on each item. If any of the items do not concern you, feel free to grab a green and put a green dot. We're really just trying to distill the information that we got from the survey to really understand signs along the wharf may not be a concern to everyone in the room, but to somebody it was. And we want to gauge that interest. And then if tonight, like litter was kind of our #1 concern that showed up in the survey, and we want to see if those results hold true when you're looking and comparing to other concerns. So we're going to move forward and go into that exercise. Then we're going to come back into this room, and I would say in 15 minutes. So we'll come back in this room around 6:10. And at that point, we're going to open up the mic and take turns just listening to one another, and any ideas you have or more concerns or just anything you want to share with the community. And during that, I just ask that we've adopted this new technique at city council meetings and planning commission, that if you agree with what somebody's saying, it's great to show your support by raising your hand instead of getting too much clapping and just to keep it civilized. And if you don't agree, it's best to just acknowledge what they're saying, and please don't make any comments there. But so we'll reconvene in 15 minutes, and there's also in the middle of the room an area with paper that if you think we've left out any concerns or ideas, you're welcome to write those right on the paper in the middle. So with that, we'll move on to the community room. Thank you.
All right. Good. This is fine. This is fine. It's fine. I'm okay. I'm okay. Right. Talk about it tomorrow. Okay. I'm gonna run.
Okay, welcome back. Thank you for taking the time to go through that exercise. We got some really great feedback of some of the concerns, and it looked like some of the concerns that rose to the top was if there were too many vendors out there. Um, Quiet hours was kind of a mix. Fumes from generators, that was definitely, I think everyone was concerned. And litter was a really big item. In terms of temporary uses, the live entertainment, it looks like there's a lot of support for live entertainment. Education again rose to the top with educational classes and interactive educational opportunities, as well as it looked like retail really was not supported out on the wharf. Very few there. And then, of course, we all love food, beer, and wine, so that was also heavily supported there. So with that, we'll be looking at that closer. We got some comments that it was a bit confusing in terms of the red and green stickers. And if the concern was listed of supporting, like not having too much competition with local businesses, but then we had the description of how to fix that underneath of the city don't allow too many vendors. And I think we'll have to take some of the feedback because there's kind of a mix of red and green. And if you have any questions on those, I'm happy to talk with you if you want to switch your sticker. But it was really the listed concern that was at the top, and whether or not if you were concerned with that concern, you put a red. So too much competition with the village businesses. If you're concerned with that, you would put red. If you were not concerned with that, you'd put green. So after this, if you think you may want to, if you were reading it as a green because you support local business, you might want to go back and switch it to a red. But right, so we really appreciate your input there. And now we're going to move on and allow comments. So we were thinking maybe keep comments to a minute or two each, and we'll be taking notes, and this we're videoing as well. So if anyone would like to get up and comment, and then the person who wants to go next can just wait by the wall and we'll allow opportunity. And again, if you agree with what they're saying, feel free to raise your hand, but we don't want to do too much.
Seen the microphone?
Yep, is it on?
I don't know. Is it on? I have to get back to work, so I'm jumping right in. A lot of things I hear people talking makes it sound like we have like about a quarter of an acre out there. And clearly there's not that much space out there. And so one of the things we heard a lot with CWEP was, to keep it simple. Don't make it too cluttered. Don't put up a bunch of banners. Don't have it really colorful. We don't need a lot of shade structures. We don't need this. We don't want to see that. Don't make it a circus. Don't make it like Disneyland. So personally, I think we should have boat and bait. We should have boats out there. I just don't see any realistic way to do entertainment, because that usually involves food, alcohol. I don't think that, I personally, having been very involved with the chamber and the business improvement area and getting a lot of feedback from the general public, I hear a lot of bad comments about too much drinking on the wharf. It's a very family-oriented recreation, take a walk kind of thing. You don't need a whole bunch of people drinking. So that's my personal feeling, is that there shouldn't be any alcohol sales on the wharf in any fashion, certainly not with a food truck that has no real control over what's going on. And again, litter is food trucks are 100% litter oriented. Everything is disposable. So anyway, I think it's a finite area. I think it should be kept simple. And if we are going to have any kind of recreation out there, then you need open space to do that. And so that's what I like.
Good evening. Thank you for putting this together tonight. No cars on the wharf. There's no reason to have cars out there again. We could have a small vehicle, electric vehicle that's takes different types of services that need to be done out there. And they're not going to launch boats from there anymore. They're only going to launch the rental boats. They won't be launching private boats. So there's no trailer storage out there. There's no reason for cars to go on that wharf. It should be designated as a public area, and it should be treated like a public area. And number one. Number two is it's a wharf. It's a fishing and boating wharf. That's number one. There should not be anything that should never be second to anything. Okay. The other part of that is that it's designated as a Coast Guard as a safe refuge port in Monterey Bay. There should be some type of lifeguard, not a lifeguard on station, but there should be a lifeguard station and a rescue station at the end of that wharf. They're permanently there for helping any type of distress type of situation that comes in. Obviously, on big swell, you're never going to see people bringing their boats through there, but on a normal day, a lot of people recreation in that bay, and it does service people from outside there. So let's keep the cars off the wharf. There's no reason to have cars on a wharf anymore.
Hello. So one of the things that I keep hearing is music on the wharf because everybody loved it. I think what they loved was music on the weekend. We have a great stage that sits there, except for events, that has nothing on it. Why don't we use our stage and that helps with the sound and not put it on the wharf? Or temporarily. I mean, yes, it's fun to dance out there and all that, but we can do that right at the stage, like we see at Wednesday night concerts all the time. I think boat and bait are probably the most important thing to be out there on that wharf. That's community, and that's something we can do really soon. And I think that's the best use of our money and our time at the moment.
Had one concern, but when you started your comments initially that you were saying that it was going to be, you made it sound like it was going to be a major issue to manage what you're doing out on the wharf. I don't understand that attitude. If the city has that attitude, I think that we need to have some discussions with that. And if they need some volunteer help to organize them and understand policies and stuff that other cities are doing, I'll be glad to volunteer for that. So I did not like hearing that this was going to be a major issue to manage that. I don't like that attitude.
I'll clarify. So when I came upon the slide for food vendors and beverage, there was a lot of support to have rotating food vendors and on a daily basis every day of the year. And my comment was at this time with our current staffing, and we don't have a special events department here in Capitola to program, to program food vendors and food trucks that rotate every day it's a large undertaking, and that was why I said that. But if it is something that's desired by the majority of Capitola residents, we would just have to rethink our programming. So I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
I just want to say, I'm also very much wanting to see the boating come back to the pier. I have friends that don't come to Capitola anymore. They go to Santa Cruz because they can't get the boating here. The other thing is I hear people saying they don't want anything bright on the wharf. I want to see a bright building on the end of the wharf because it's a navigation aid. It's a landmark. When you're sailing down from Santa Cruz or Half Moon Bay, you don't see the Venetian when you're coming from the north. So you need something bright to point at when you're paddling or swimming. Having something bright on the end of the wharf is a great help. So thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Leslie. I'll just echo the comments about figuring out a way to collaborate with the city and the businesses. And if you need any help or volunteers could help bridge that gap, I think this is a great opportunity for the city and the business community to collaborate on something. So I understand how hard it is with the staffing too. So whatever we can do there would be great. And then I was actually just going to comment on the one about dogs on leashes on the wharf. I think the whole beach is a no dog beach. And so I would just suggest that we take that into consideration if we change the code to allow dogs on the wharf on leash. Would that also change? They'd be a little difficult to manage just on the wharf and not on the beach. And that's kind of a controversial issue sometimes with how small the beach is and how not all dog owners are really always good about cleaning it. Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm here to support the food and also coffee and just entertainment. I do own a food truck. Another buddy that owns a food truck. A couple guys that own little food stuff. So yeah, I support the food and entertainment and beer. And shouldn't be a boring wharf. So like it should be a happy family. That's it.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to comment? Come on up.
Hello. I this may be just an aside, but the mooring buoys that were in the ocean for a while, it would be neat to have them incorporated again and placed, whether by the bait shop or however that could be managed, maybe in collaboration with somebody. But I think that would be great. I don't think my voice is going into the microphone, but thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay.
One quick comment. I do support the fishing and being able to bring their pole and fish and clean their fish, but I don't see anything in the plan that shows any fish cleaning stations. And my concern, are water spouts where they can fill their buckets and kind of clean off their stuff, because I would be concerned that the picnic tables might be used for that, or the bathroom shower facility, outdoor facilities, we're gonna get fish in there because there's nowhere to maintain it. So even in a temporary situation, if people are just walking on with their pole and a family, there needs to be some spigots kind of throughout or down the wharf where the fishing is allowed. And an area where you can clean off your fish, and dispose of it so it's not all over wharf.
Thank you.
Well, I think that I miss having the businesses on the wharf. It's part of the charm of Capitola, and I'm really sorry that that has been put aside. It seems like what I'm hearing around comments here and there that there is money earmarked for Jade Street Park that is so that it cannot be spent on the wharf. I think we shouldn't spend a lot of money at Jade Street Park. It would be great to have improvements, but it's somebody else's property. And I think we should not be approving and improving somebody else's property. We wouldn't do it as a homeowner, and I don't think we should do it as the city.
Thank you.
So one thing, is it okay to clarify an issue just around the fish cleaning station? So it was an item that was identified. And so it's through the CWEP fundraising part of it, there's $10,000 been allocated to that. And so there'll be, right now we're working with getting a final design, and then that'll get approved by the city. And then it'll be built by a bunch of community volunteers and will be hopefully placed out the right when the wharf opens. So that's one thing for you. And then could you elaborate on the mooring balls? Are you able to, is that a part of it? Has that been designed yet?
Sure. So right now as I said in the beginning, we're talking about, we've been talking with Boat and Bait about a lease. And so I think that was part of their original lease was the mooring walls. So, yep,
That's all I have. Thank you.
thanks.
I just want to introduce myself. I'm Erica Pittman, and along with Lori back there and Gail Jean Sayas, we have formed a committee called KELP, Keep Embracing Your Local Peer. And we're kind of taking off where Jerry's CWEP kind of ended. And our goal for everybody is just to be kind of a source of information that's accurate. Because we've been around talking to all the merchants, and the rumors that you're hearing about what's happening on the wharf are ridiculous. So we just want the city to know that we're here to be kind of community outreach for you. And as the structures, whatever they may be, end up on the wharf, we're going to change our name to keep enhancing our local pier. And we've got so many people that want to write checks like right now to help the wharf. So we just want the city to know that we're here to fill in gaps where maybe there's funding that's needed. And we're waiting until we know what those items are until we actively fundraise. So
Excellent.
and you can go to capitolakelp.com to check out the website, which is really just in its preliminary stages. But thank you. It all looks great.
So I was going to say, following this meeting, we will have the presentation available under the city council meetings, or maybe it'll be a special town hall meeting. But so in terms of getting the accuracy of the messaging out, feel free to show your friends our presentation tonight, because that is, Jessica had great slides of everything that's going to be there when we open the wharf and the ideas that we're talking about for the next steps. So appreciate you sharing and getting the word out.
It sounds like you're closing on this. Is one thing we have to keep in mind is the ocean always wins. We may in our lifetime be doing this again, and probably so. So whatever we do out there, make it so it's temporary or permanent, one of the two. And there is no permanent with the ocean. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well does anyone else have a public comment they want to come up and speak? Well, Jessica and I really appreciate all your comments tonight. There are a lot of new comments, and so thank you. Really appreciate your time coming out this evening. Next Thursday on May 9th, the city council meets at 6 p.m. and the temporary wharf discussion will continue then. We're going to be meeting tomorrow and trying to figure out from all the information we've gathered what a temporary plan could look like. And then that will go before city council next week. So feel free to come join us. There's always the opportunity to speak. Our staff report will be published on Friday. And so if you can't make the meeting on Thursday night, you're always welcome to email us, email the city council so that they can hear your read your written comments. So with that, I thank you all for participating and appreciate your time. Thank you.